As we celebrate President's Day this week, it only seems fitting to tell you about the recent recipient of the Delaware Standardbred Owners Association's President's Award. And that is Senator David Sokola, who was recognized at the annual First State Horsemen's Banquet by Andy Markano, the president of the DSOA. We got a chance to chat with Senator Sokola, who has been a big supporter to the harness racing industry for decades. Senator Sokola, how surprised were you by this honor when you heard about it?
I was stunned. I didn't expect it, didn't know they had such an award, but I was really kind of pleased. It is truly an honor to be considered for something like this.
Let's hear about your story as a legislator. So, when did you first become, someone that was a public servant, and why did you want to do it?
So you might have been a little girl. 1990, I was elected. And I wanted to do it because there were some things that had happened in my district. I don't know if you've heard of the issue of debris pits, construction debris pits, and there were some that were in my neighborhood, fairly new neighborhood, and we went out and started working on that issue. And ultimately, I decided to run for office, and I was fortunate enough to get elected and done a lot of work on that. But by and large, it's about what the residents that you represent. It's them, and it's what they want, and it's such an honor to have been elected now 11 times, and to also serve now as President Pro Tem of the Senate.
Yeah, and back in 1994, we had the Horse Racing Redevelopment Act. A huge deal, obviously brought slots here, helped, oh my gosh, it's done so much for the state, obviously helped enhance our sport and revitalize it. And you are the only original legislator, I believe, out of 62 in the General Assembly left. So tell me about that process, because you were there.
Yeah, it was a really interesting process because before I was even elected, a bill had passed, and then Governor Mike Castle vetoed it. And then they waited till the next governor came in, Governor Carper, and there was a similar process, but Governor Carper ultimately let it go in without his signature. And I remember I got a lot of phone calls for and a lot of phone calls against. And it was interesting because I'm here wrestling with this issue, and I couldn't help but remember when I was a kid, my dad, who was a lab technician for DuPont at Chestnut Run, would work at night at Brandywine Raceway. He did valet parking. And that was one thing that helped get my older brother and me to college because, they had that opportunity for a little bit extra money. And of course, there are people who work full time as well as people who work part time at the tracks and in the casinos. But that little bit extra makes a difference for a lot of families, and it certainly made a difference for me, and it's one of the reasons I'm here today. So.
And one of the things is not only did you vote yes for that act, but you've been such a big supporter for, I think, everything after that when it came to our agricultural business here. Second to chickens, I always like to mention that. Horse racing is so huge here in the first state. You realize how important it is for the economy of the first state and Green Acres and everything else.
Yeah, it is, and it's important, and a lot of the people who are here are people who you run into in other capacities, whether it's the people who develop feed, the people who, veterinarians, other people who have a role. My wife, by the way, and I didn't know this at the time that I voted on the bill, after her senior year in high school, she was a hand stamper for the clubhouse at Delaware Park.
Way.
Yeah, her mother worked there for a couple of years part-time, and as she got out of high school, that was an opportunity, and so if there's anybody who 50 years ago got their hand stamped, it might have been my wife at Delaware Park. So.
What a great story. I love that. Let's talk about something other than horse racing right now. A couple things, actually. You're a cycler. You teach cycling classes at an athletic club. Is that right?
Yeah, I teach two types, spinning, which is the older one. I've done that for 25 years. And sprint, which is a registered trademark of Les Mills. They're a fitness organization, and you got to get certified through them. Those are two basically on a bike, intensity exercises to music, and it's something that I really like. We like to say that my wife's bike has 4 legs and my horse has 2 wheels, and so so we have something in common that we like to be up and going. And so
And beekeeping, that's a new hobby for you? That's something that's just coming around that you've been interested in, or?
a friend of mine started beekeeping, and when my wife and I would go to dinner with that couple, they would do nothing but talk about the bees. So I actually went over and helped with an inspection once, and I decided, I could do this. And so I've been into it now 5 years, and got about 175 pounds of honey this past year. But the bees are fascinating, and they're essential to the fact that we can eat. We need our farmers, we need everything else in that space, but bees are a key part of it too.
You mentioned your wife, hand stamper back in the day. Love that. But she's always been a horse enthusiast, always loved horses. So I'm so happy Kathy is here this evening. That's great. That's a huge connection for you.
It really is, and it was good for my daughter too. When my daughter started riding, we realized just how important. This isn't just a hobby, and it just isn't a passion, but it's also an opportunity to gain self-confidence. And when you're a little kid, 9 years old, and you can control an 1,100-pound animal, that gives you self-confidence. And it's you also muck stalls and do other things that are part of building a responsible lifestyle. And so it really is a special opportunity for all.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your award. So well deserved.
Thank you.